Breaking news! It's been a hot day behind the scenes, and the Detroit Lions have just made some new moves. I'll tell you everything that's been going on, but first, make sure you've already hit the like button. But only do that if you've been a Detroit Lions fan for over 18 years. It's great to see fans of all ages here. Maximum respect. If possible, write it like this: One pride. All right, here's the deal. The Lions have just made an addition to their defensive line. Without a doubt, it's another calculated move in Brad Holmes' plan to strengthen the trenches. The Lions have just signed defensive lineman Roy Lopez to a one-year, $4.65 million contract. Now I know what you're thinking. Who exactly is Roy Lopez and what does he bring to this team? Let's break it down. The 27-year-old nose tackle, who will soon turn 28, was drafted in the 6th round of the 2021 NFL Draft by the Houston Texans, picking number 195 overall. At 6 feet 2 and 315 pounds, Lopez has carved out a solid, if unspectacular, role in the league. Last season, in limited action, he racked up 10 solo tackles, a sack, and a forced fumble. It's not exactly Aaron Donald-level production, but considering he's only played in 16 games, it shows some disruptive ability when given the opportunity. And if we look back at his first 2 seasons in the NFL, he played 16 out of 17 games as a rookie and a full 17-game season in year 2, before missing some time last year. The consistency is there. He's a guy who shows up and competes. But the big question is, what does this signing mean for the Lions? This is now the 3rd defensive line deal in this price range. Marcus Davenport got a 1-year, incentive-laden contract worth $4.75 million, and while we don't have all the details on Miles's deal, it's in a similar range. Clearly, the Lions are building depth up front, and Lopez fits the mold of a rotational piece rather than a game-changing starter. But could he carve out a bigger role? Let's take a look at his scouting report coming out of college. Lopez was described as a squatty nose tackle with a strong anchor and a relentless motor. He was a 2-time state champion wrestler, which tells you he knows how to use leverage and hand placement to control blockers. That's something the Lions value. Just look at Malcolm Rodriguez, another former wrestler who thrives on grit and technique. On the flip side, the scouting report also pointed out some weaknesses. He's not the longest or most explosive player, and against bigger, stronger offensive linemen, he can get neutralized. His ability to rush the passer is limited, and he'll need to develop more moves to be effective on passing downs. This all lines up with the idea that he's primarily here to help against the run, not necessarily to collapse the pocket on 3rd downs. Now here's where things get interesting. Lopez's pre-draft grade, a 5.68 prospect grade from NFL.com, which labeled him as a candidate for the bottom of the roster or practice squad. But here's the thing. He's already beaten those expectations. He not only made the Texans roster, but he also played significant snaps for 2 different teams. That tells you he's not just some camp body. The Lions saw something in him worth investing in, even if it's just for 1 season.
But let's talk big picture. What does this move say about the Lions' defensive line? Could this be an indication of how they feel about Isaiah Buggs or Benito Jones? Is Lopez just a depth piece, or does he have a legitimate shot at earning a rotational role? And what about the bigger free agency moves we've been waiting for? Let's be real, this isn't the move that Lions fans were hoping for. There are still plenty of high-impact players available, and there's still time for Brad Holmes to make a splash. But if there's one thing we've learned about this front office, it's that they don't rush into decisions. They build methodically, they stack depth, and they find value where other teams don't. So, what do you think, Lions fans? Is this a smart under-the-radar signing, or were you hoping for something bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One thing is clear, this move fits the Lions' blueprint of building from the trenches. We've seen it time and time again. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell prioritize toughness, depth, and rotational strength on the defensive line. They aren't just looking for flashy names. They want guys who fit their system, who are coachable, and who can contribute even if they aren't superstars. Roy Lopez is exactly that kind of player. He's a grinder, someone who has fought for every opportunity in the NFL. Let's not forget, he was a 6th-round pick. That means from the moment he entered the league, he was fighting an uphill battle. Teams don't hand starting jobs to guys drafted that late. You have to prove yourself every day in practice, make the most of your reps in games, and show that you belong. And Lopez has done that. In his rookie year with the Texans, he started 15 games. That's not a small feat for a 6th-round pick. He followed it up by playing every game in his 2nd season, proving that he can stay healthy and contribute. But then, last year, he took a step back. He missed some time, didn't put up big numbers, and ended up looking for a new opportunity. Enter the Detroit Lions. Now, let's talk about fit. The Lions' defensive front has been solid, but there's always room for improvement. We know Allen McNeil has been a beast in the middle, but behind him, depth has been an issue. Isaiah Buggs fell out of favor last season, and Benito Jones had moments but wasn't dominant. That's where Lopez comes in. He's not coming here to be the guy. He's coming here to be a piece of the puzzle. A depth player who can rotate in, eat up space in the middle, and help shut down the run. If he can do that effectively, he'll have a role on this team. And let's be honest, that's something the Lions need. The run defense improved last year, but there were still moments where it faltered, especially against top-tier rushing attacks. Adding more size and toughness inside only helps. But there's another angle to this signing that we need to discuss. What does it mean for the Lions' overall free agency strategy? So far, the front office has focused on making smart, cost-effective moves rather than chasing big names. And while some fans might be frustrated that Detroit hasn't landed a headline-grabbing star, this approach has worked. Look at last offseason. Holmes didn't go after the biggest names, but he found value. He brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson on a short-term deal, picked up underrated guys like Emmanuel Mosley, and added key depth pieces. The result? The Lions made their deepest playoff run in decades. So maybe, just maybe, we need to trust the process. Lopez isn't the move that's going to put the Lions over the top, but could he be a valuable depth piece? Absolutely. Could he play a role in keeping the defensive line fresh? No doubt. And in the long grind of an NFL season, those kinds of moves matter. And let's be real, this is the kind of move that doesn't get the casual fan excited, but it's exactly the kind of move that good teams make. You don't win championships just by signing superstars. You win championships by building complete rosters, by making sure you have the right pieces in place when injuries happen, when rotations change, when the long grind of a season starts wearing guys down. Look at the teams that have dominated in recent years. The Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs, they all have depth in the trenches. They don't just rely on one or two stars to carry the defensive front. They rotate guys in, they keep bodies fresh, and they make sure they have someone ready to step up when needed. That's what Brad Holmes is doing here. He's not trying to find the next Aaron Donald. He's trying to build a unit that can hold up for 17-plus games, through injuries, through tough matchups, through the playoff push. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Does this move mean the Lions are done making bigger defensive line additions? Probably not. This feels like a complimentary move, not a final piece. There's still room for another impact player to come in. Whether that's in free agency, via a trade, or in the draft, the Lions know they need more firepower up front. Think about it, Aidan Hutchinson is a beast, but he needs help. The Lions need more guys who can generate pressure, more guys who can collapse the pocket from the interior. That's been one of the missing pieces. Could Lopez contribute in that role? Maybe in certain situations, but he's not going to be the answer to the pass rush problems. He's more of a run stopper, a depth guy, someone who can help keep McNeil and the other linemen fresh.